is what we seek to explore with this dialogue. How is mining all the resources our people constantly, this assembly, will open a new page. Gold, silver, and all the precious metals of the mining industry have been with humanity since eternity. The book of Genesis account of creation in the Holy Bible tells us, and the gold of the land is good.
Sure.
And so it has been through every epoch of human history. The majesty and power of King Solomon was best reflected in the grandeur of gold. At the birth of Christ, gold, silver, and fragrance empire known to the foundation upon which the wealth of nations have been built, from the depth of the land and refined by fire in the furnace.
Sure.
Everyone in this room knows that the process of extracting which cannot be dismissed, but then protects the environment. It is fair to say mining is safer, they are as efficient in the acknowledged best practices that offer greater benefits to the affected communities. Probably the most costly effect of it, we have to be true to ourselves and admit that in the competitive global and then gold in particular has been pivotal to our economy over the years. When the statisticians tell us that mining has continued impressive, but how many of us, policymakers as well as social thinkers, have tried to assess the true value of the resources we dispense? The most cursory analysis should tell us that what we proudly exalt in our statistics is only a pittance of the true value of the resources we deliver to the market. Value chain. But we are painfully excluded from this juicy portion of the value chain because the industries in the manufacturing process to whom we sell the raw materials are only located in the already rich countries. In this scenario, it is impossible to deny the contention that some sweat to egg out of crumbs, some sweat out to golden rich of the end-use wealth and the gilded purpose of the produce nations. This world of inequity is untenable and unsustainable. Admittedly, this is a much broader issue encompassing the entire structure of the global economy. But because of its commanding posture if we acknowledge that this inequity is in the wealthy world, it should down on us that we may be storing the ingredients for social disaster and disorder with catastrophic consequences, possibly sooner than we realize. And if we are seized of this danger, then we owe it to ourselves, to the industry we are devoted to, and to posterity, not to look the other way, but to grab the nettle and move the dial in a new direction. The gold market can show the way. It can show the way by encouraging the titans of the market from London to Dubai, from Zurich to Brussels, to invest in partnerships in producer countries for the establishment of manufacturing industry that will give them the capacity to add value to the world. This would inevitably lead to the industrial world having to cede or lose a substantial part of their market share of manufactured goods of the present. Continued social instability in Africa needs volatility, feeds volatility on global markets, which cannot be good for any investor. An economically strengthened Africa can only be a bulwark for market stability, which must be what the doctor orders for the investor. What has occupied my mind as I watch the warning signs is the necessity for the process towards the necessary reversal through genuine collaboration rather than divorce. I think it is in everybody's interest to reduce the heightened risk of doing business in Africa and encourage a greater willingness to invest in productive enterprises on the edge, the international finance community to be less risk-averse towards Africa, but demonstrate a greater disposition to work with the private sector to strengthen their capacity to move the economies upward. The long history of productive collaboration puts the mining sector in a position to be an example of the mutual trust we need going forward. Indeed, the cherished friendships within the Gold Council encourages me to dare to think that we can work together to herald a new era of equity and shared prosperity. I thank you very much.
Please be seated. And with a voice that echoes the counsel of his ancestors and the clarity of a forward-thinking statesman, please help me appreciate our King, His Majesty Otumfuo Osei Tutu. We thank you ever so much, our King, for those wise words, which now set the tone for another foundational address on tokenization. Gold without borders, tokenization and the next chapter in African trade. Your Excellency the President, Your Majesty, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to him, gold should no longer be just a mineral. It should be a digital key to financial inclusion, cross-border wealth, and Africa. He joins us to navigate on this transformative theme, Gold Without Borders, Tokenization, and the next chapter in African trade. The Secretary General of the AFCFTA is not just a diplomat, but a revolutionary architect of Pan-African commerce. Under his leadership, the AFCTA has become the world's largest free trade zone, unlocking borders, dismantling barriers, and igniting a new era of shared prosperity. With the coming into force of the protocols on digital trade, women and youth in African trade being the first of its kind in the whole wide world. Mr. President, Your Majesty, distinguished ladies.
President John Mahama, President of the Fourth Republic of Ghana, His Majesty Otumfuo Osei Tutu II, Your Excellency President John Kufuor, former President of Ghana, Honorable Minister Emmanuel Ama Kofi Boa, Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Ministers from the Government of Ghana, Ministers from across, High Commissioners, Ambassadors, distinguished leaders in the mining sector. Ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a pleasure and an honor for us to be invited to participate in this inaugural event. If I may congratulate His Majesty the King for the vision, just in Ghana, but throughout the whole African continent. I also want to thank His Excellency President Mahama for his patronage of this event and for also his vision of sustainability of the mining sector. I'm proud to be associated with this event. It is, of course, fitting that we endorse and fully support this event. The government of Ghana has been instrumental in the success of the AFCFTA, in establishing a significant presence here in Ghana. The AFCFTA Secretariat is the largest African Union presence outside of Addis Ababa. I came here on the 15th of August, 2020, to start the Secretariat from across the African continent, representing different languages, different regions of our continent. And the reason we have been able to succeed in this mission is because of the support of the government of Ghana. For the agreement establishing the AFCFTA, the fastest ratification of any instrument in the African Union, indeed, even under the Organization of African Unity. All of the protocols that our heads of states directed that we negotiate and conclude have been concluded. We are now transitioning to implementation mode to address Africa's pressing challenges, and the sustainability of the mining sector, indeed, is one of the challenges that we must confront. I therefore want to once again express my profound appreciation to the government and the people of Ghana, establishment of the Secretariat in 2020. As was noted, we meet at a time of profound global uncertainty, marked by shifting geo-economic tensions, the weaponization of trade policy, investment. Indeed, the continent of Africa must respond to these challenges. This imperative is reinforced by the ongoing strategic competition land in this environment. This dynamic makes it all the more urgent for Africa to deepen continental integration, to strengthen our resilience, and assert the economic interests of our continent more boldly on the global scale, especially as changes in global trade policy are looming, including the uncertainty of the future of AGOA. The operationalization of the AFCFTA offers the continent of Africa a transformative opportunity to drive industrial development, to drive sustainability, and to create a domestic market in Africa. The AFCFTA is a homegrown initiative rooted in Africa's own vision of prosperity. As a flagship project of Agenda 2063, the AFCFTA embodies our collective ambition to enhance intra-Africa trade, to ensure our own economic sustainability as a continent, and to see through the vision of our founding mothers and fathers when in May 1963, in the historic city of Addis Ababa, expressed a vision of a united Africa with an end to colonialism. The AFCFTA Secretariat is here in Ghana, a country that has always been at the vanguard of leadership in Africa. Key to the success of this agenda in this changing global environment will be how our continent leverages on digital technologies for sustainability, for inclusion, for poverty eradication, and to create jobs for millions and millions of young Africans. Is now in implementation mode. It is the first of its kind around the world and addresses very important aspects of Africa's digital economy, including payments, interoperable payment systems, movement of data, the commercial throughout the continent. Therefore, the gathering here today, over the next few days, is timely and indeed is consistent with the ambition of the Protocol on Digital Trade of the AFCFTA. The theme that I have been invited to address, I quote, "Gold without borders, tokenization and the next chapter in African trade," unquote, is indeed, as I mentioned earlier, timely. The Protocol on Digital Trade provides the legal framework for us to explore the sustainability of the mining sector, leveraging on digital technologies. Gold tokenization, the reduction of transaction costs, boosting intra-Africa trade in the mineral sector, improving traceability, and enhancing financial inclusion. This not only reinforces the AFCFTA's commitment to value addition, processing of our minerals here on our continent, and the rules-based multilateral trading system born in Africa, but also serves as an example of the forward-looking, inclusive innovation and inclusive innovation that all of us must champion throughout our continent. And so as we gather here today, permit me to state the obvious. We are not gathering to elaborate and discuss and dialogue on gold. It is about redefining the future of trade, particularly in the digital age, and it is about redefining the role of the mining sector and gold in particular in Africa's digital economy. The AFCFTA Secretariat is indeed proud to be associated with such a forward-looking event. This event, I am sure, will build on the momentum of the recently successful Digital Trade Forum, which was hosted by the President of Zambia and the AFCFTA Secretariat in May 2025. The forum reaffirmed Africa's digital potential. The political commitment is there. At the cutting edge of Africa's digital economy, are ever ready to seize the opportunities that the digital economy presents to all of us. The International Financial Corporation estimates that by the year 2035, Africa's digital economy will be in excess of over 712 billion United States dollars, contributing over 6% to Africa's GDP. This is an immense opportunity that all of us must take advantage of. Our continent is a major gold producer, contributing over 1,000 tons in 2023, which is more than 20% of global output. This represents a significant source of wealth, with a large share coming from artisanal and small-scale. Up to 40% of Africa's gold remains undeclared, with an estimated $30 billion smuggled annually. This deprives governments of vital resources, of vital revenue, and undermines ethical sourcing and limits miners' access to finance. Therefore, tokenization offers a way to transform the structure of the gold industry. By representing physical gold digitally, border trade in a secure manner. Globally, this model is gaining traction, with over $2 billion in tokenized gold assets as of 2024 alone, signaling rising investor confidence. Tokenization also presents the opportunity for us, as I mentioned earlier, to reduce costs, to ensure efficiency, and to expand on our ambition of financial inclusion. Now, if I may turn to the instruments of trade that can be offered by the AFCFTA as we transition the gold sector to align with our digital economy. The AFCFTA has local content rules, or rules of origin as they are called in trade speak. This shall enable the industrialization of the sector and shall ensure value addition and processing takes place on the African continent. The utilization of rules of origin to advance industrial development of the mining sector is a low-hanging fruit in our view, which we must take advantage of. There are various initiatives around our continent which indicate that more than ever, the continent of Africa is ready to take advantage of the digital technologies as they relate to the mining sector. Here in Ghana, the new Ghana Gold Board is introducing blockchain-based tracking to formalize production public across our continent, where digital technologies are deployed to advance on our ambition of industrial development, job creation, and competitiveness. These initiatives signal a decisive move beyond extractive models towards a future where Africa's gold is traceable, digitally tradable, and offers opportunities at inclusion. As we look to the future, the promise of gold tokenization is clear, but there are risks that we have to be aware of. To realize its full potential, we must proceed with due diligence, foresight, and collective action. Here's the good news. We are not starting from scratch as a continent. With the AFCFTA, we already have in place, in practice, a transformative agenda for Africa's trade landscape, which provides the foundational legal tools that are required to advance on this ambition. I therefore urge all of us gathered here to consider very carefully all of the trade instruments and the trade tools that are available at our disposal as we seek to champion the sustainability of the mining sector, and gold in particular, in this era of Africa's digital economy. With 49 members of the African Union having ratified the agreement establishing the AFCFTA, a market of 1.4 billion people, with a combined GDP of 3.4 trillion United States dollars, the AFCFTA offers an opportunity to scale not just industrial output in the mining sector, but also to scale productivity, investments, and offers legal more investment. Let me conclude, Your Excellencies and Your Majesty, on this note. I believe we stand at a defining moment for our continent. As we navigate the turbulent global economic environment that all of us find ourselves in, on the face of it is time that our continent redoubles, that we redouble our efforts at trade liberalization, investment liberalization, and creating opportunities when we process our own minerals, value addition of our own minerals, and attract investment in the mining, in the processing of our mining. While progress is visible, the challenges also remain. Therefore, our resolve to shape a future where Africa's resources uplift all of its people, and again, I wish to emphasize leveraging on digital technologies, this shall require that we become even more pragmatic in our actions and move collectively as a continent. Africa's gold has long been a symbol of wealth. Now, through innovation, collaboration, and leveraging on technologies, we have an opportunity to turn this vision into inclusive growth opportunities for all. Tokenization presents that opportunity to build a secure, transparent, and integrated mining sector where value is created, retained, and shared here on our continent. Allow me, as I close, to once again express my immense appreciation to the government and the people of Ghana, of gold, and the mining sector in particular, of the AFCFTA, that we are able today to proudly claim that not only do we have the world's largest free trade area, but also we are at the cutting edge of digital innovation through the protocol on digital trade. We also claim with pride that for the very first time around the world, we have a protocol on women and youth in trade, which does not exist anywhere else, which is able to ensure that we deliver on the promise and the aspiration of inclusivity, creating opportunities for women-owned and youth-owned businesses, and that we move beyond aspirations, which are, of course, important, but that we codify into legally binding commitments these aspirations of creating opportunities for small, medium enterprises that are owned by women and young people. With these words, I wish to thank all of you for your attention, and I wish us good deliberations over the next few days. I thank you very much.
Wow. An unshakable advocate for Africa's economic sovereignty and a leader at the forefront of rewriting Africa's trade destiny. Please, His Excellency Wamkele Mene is yours for the applause. A grateful continent says thank you for all that you do and call on us to do. We now want to have another perspective, that of Ghana's vision for a sustainable artisanal and small-scale mining sector. In line with global demand for critical minerals, Ghana is advancing plans to scale up exploration and extraction of strategic resources such as bauxite, lithium, and others. The government is positioning the artisanal small-scale mining sector as a cornerstone of its green industrial efforts, making 2025 a pivotal year for investment opportunities in Ghana's ASM mining sector. But we ask, what is Ghana's plan or Ghana's vision for sustainable artisanal and small-scale mining sector? It falls to a distinguished public servant who currently serves as Ghana's Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, an MP for Lembele, who comes to us undoubtedly with a track record that is unsurpassed, giving his legacy as Ghana's former Energy and Petroleum Minister, and ladies and gentlemen, having transformed Ghana's energy landscape through the landmark Sankofa and 10 oil field development that powers our nation till date. Make welcome, yours and mine, the Honorable Emmanuel Ama Kofi Boa.
Thank you. Your Excellency, John Dramani Mahama, President of the Republic of Ghana, Your Majesty, Otumfuo Osei-Tutu II, the Santihini, Your Excellency, President John Agyeku Nkufuor, our former president, Your Excellencies, colleague ministers from the continent, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. We are gathered this morning to explore innovative ideas. We are gathered this morning, as Otumfuo has stated, to talk about artisanal small-scale mining, a trade that has been as old as we have been around, but a trade that in the 21st century has really been a real challenge. And this morning in my presentation, you will see that I will be washing Ghana's dirty laundry publicly. But I'm doing so for good reasons. I'm doing so because we are all convinced that we have to chart a new way forward to ensure that artisanal small-scale mining will be done responsibly and sustainably. As I've said, globally, this is a trade that has been around for a long time. 45 million people around the globe are engaged in this trade. It started off with hammers and chisel, rudimentary methods of mining, and has really metamorphosed into a very sophisticated method. Now, if you hear artisanal small-scale mining, what is really coming this week is the destruction of our forests, destruction of our water bodies, pollution of our waters. The story in Ghana is not different. In Ghana, over 1 million people are engaged in this trade. Year to date, and if you want to know how important this trade is, just up to this quarter, we've comes from artisanal small-scale mining. That should tell you how important it is. But ladies and gentlemen, and as I stated, when you become a minister for lands and natural resources, as I did 4 months ago, and my first briefing was from the Forestry Commission. And they came to tell me something that shook me, that out of the 288 forest reserves that we have in Ghana, 44 had been completely destroyed. destroyed. And then I asked, how has it been destroyed? Because 5,500 hectares of that forest that has been around for over 200 years has just been condemned. And just imagine 5,500 hectares, that is 7,500 football fields. That is completely gone, that has degraded, that has to be reclaimed. What is worse is that because our major river bodies take their sources from these forests, almost 80% of our major waters take their source from these rivers. We also have pollution of our main water bodies. And to the extent that the turbidity levels of these water bodies, which has to be 0 to 500, are now between 5,000 and 12,000 NTU, making it impossible for the Ghana Water Company to even treat our water. So when you hear the shutdown of the Takwa plant, that is the result of that. It gets even worse. 9 out of these forest reserves has completely been taken that we faced head on. It was even worse when we were briefed that geological investigation that should be able to help identify mineralized areas was not happening because the Ghana Geological Authority had not capacity to do so. It has even extended the challenge and the 5 arrests we made. We couldn't even prosecute them. Only 31 or 35 were able to prosecute. That's a paltry 4%. And that is really the challenge we had to deal with. And then we ask, how did we get here? And I think we are asking this question not because we are interested in figure pointing, but we are asking this question so we can get to the root causes of this challenge and address this fundamental challenge that is basically coming to destroy us. I have not even talked about the health implications of all the things I've talked about. Well, what is at stake is political will and the determination for all of us to deal with this challenge. And that is how we began. We began 4 months ago with a 5-pillar approach in dealing with this challenge. First, we realized clearly that the licensing regime, the process of issuing licenses, had to be completely reformed. We revoked licenses and set up to basically review every license to identify the processes. Because it was clear that first, the bureaucracy would not even encourage people to apply for licenses. So we're not following due diligence and doing it. Oftentimes, people would take licenses from Accra and go to a mining community and waive it. And this is the first time the community is seeing this investor. All of that had to change. We decided to also make sure that if you have 7,500 football fields to recover, and you're going to spend millions and millions of dollars to really recover, you need law enforcement to come. We strengthened law enforcement. Decided to work hard, and in the last 5 months, we've done over 500 arrests, and over 200 plus and other equipments have been seized. We continue aggressively to deal with that. But we are under no illusion. I talked about I'm very happy to also say that we've recovered. Out of the 9 no-go areas, we've recovered, thanks to the collaboration of the Ghana Police and the Ghana Army. Out of the 9, we recovered 9 of this forest reserve, and now the forestry guards are able to take over that and take care of that. We also know that one of the critical things that we have to do is to provide alternatives. The reason why we have so many of our young people in this trade is because of lack of jobs and lack of skills. That's why His Excellency, the President, has made creation of jobs. If you see the President having established the whole ministry of employment and empowerment, it is because we need to deal with this issue of empowerment of our young people. At the ministry itself, we are working on the National Alternative Livelihood Program to create skills and create jobs. The president just launched last month the 1 million coders program. This year alone, the target is to train 150,000 young people in technology skills. We are working closely with employment agencies to create different models of jobs to get our young people empowered. We are under no illusion that we can solve this problem with force. And that is why engagement with key stakeholders and education is really very critical. We've been very aggressive in engaging key stakeholders across the country. And ladies and gentlemen, on this occasion, join me to thank Tutu for his leadership. I mean, his commitment is very, very clear. The fact that he's leading this effort for this mining in motion speaks volumes about his commitment to this fight. And I think that at the top level, as you know, we have launched what we call the Blue Water Initiative. This is a two-pronged approach where we are dechemicalizing our polluted water bodies to ensure that it turns back blue again. We are also working on what we call the blue water gas. This year, our target is to train 2,000 young people. We've already deployed over 450 of them. And we picked them from the river areas. They're working close with the Ghana Navy and the Ghana Police. And IGP, thank you very much for the coordination. And these young people are going to be an interface, working at key intelligence officers and basically the first responded in these riverine areas. And we've already seen the impact. We are also working on a major initiative called the Tree for Life Initiative. Thanks to the president, he launched this in March this year. And I'm very happy that this week is the week of seedling planting. We intend to plant 30 million seedlings. So when we leave here, come for your seedlings, and let's do the planting. Very, very, very important. I am very, very excited that we've invited the large-scale mining companies, and we've already started seeing positive signs. And I can mention Newmont's leadership in this. So thank you. Thank you. Another very important step we've taken is that we believe that the coordination with the security agencies must be very permanent. So we've established anti-mining secretariat, working closely with the national security and agencies to make sure we sustain the protection of all these reclaimed, degraded areas. We are also doing what we call geotagging and The third largest item that we imported into Ghana was excavators. 6 billion Ghana cedi. And ask me, mostly all of them was finding their way into legal mining activities. So what we are doing now is that we are collaborating with the Ministry of Transport and the driving and the licensing authorities to track and geofence every excavator that enters the country. Already we've done a pilot of 70 excavators that we are able to track 24 hours a day. The intention is to basically expand this program and make sure that every excavator that enters this country is tracked. We are working closely with the World Bank and others to build the capacity of the Ghana Geological Survey Authority. Investment in geological investigation is very critical. This is the reason why everybody is digging everywhere, because they don't know where the gold is. If we can basically identify mineralized areas, and I am very, very interested in the biggest program we are about to launch. If we identify all these mineralized areas, and what we are doing next is the establishment of small-scale mining cooperatives. This is an initiative that is basically being done, taking lessons from the past and learning all the things we've done in the past that has failed us. And the lesson is very, very clear. You must have the community ownership when you're establishing such community programs. It cannot be that you put the community name on a program and the community will not own it. And that is our focus. We are also working with large-scale, small-scale mining company in your operating area. Extend the same good practices to these small-scale mining cooperatives. And I'm sure that the response that are coming, we are going to work with them to get small-scale mining cooperatives in every large-scale area to make sure we can transfer the best practices and create all the jobs we need. Working with the Go Board as well, we create a backdoor opportunity for all of these programs. And so the issues that has been talked about as traceability and all the challenges of the goal that will come up here will be addressed in this process. More importantly, I think that this has been talked about. Just in the last few months, we established the Go Board, and the impact is already being felt. And I think that the process, the past challenges we've had with smuggling, illegalities, and making sure that we as a country add value to the gold is finally where we are hoping to do. And what we have said to key investors is that you must come to Ghana with a mindset to partner for a win-win, making sure you get a good return on your investment by living with the satisfaction that the communities where the gold came from have also seen some transformation. There's also the Minerals Development Fund established to address concerns of development, infrastructure development of communities in the mining area. The MAFE is also a program to make sure we can invest revenue and royalties so that good return on investment can be used to improve the lives of our people. Ladies and gentlemen, it is possible for us to mine, sustainable, to do small-scale mining, do it responsibly, sustainably, not only for this generation, but the future generation. I thank you very much. It is now my privilege. It is now my profound honor to introduce a leader whose vision transcends the ordinary, a man whose unwavering belief in progress has redefined what is possible catalyst for empowerment. Under his leadership, Ghana has embraced a new era of responsible mining, where sustainability of a leader who has injected hope into the veins of Ghana and Africa, the president of the Gold Coast, the beacon of sustainable mining in Africa. Turn our water bodies blue and our rivers, our water bodies blue and our forests green again. His Excellency, John Dramani Mahama. Thank you, Cecil.
Thank you. Kindly resume your seats, thank you. His Royal Majesty Osei Tutu, the second king of the Asante Kingdom, His Excellency, the former President of the Republic of Ghana, John Agyekum Kufuor, His Excellency Wamkele Mene, Secretary General, let me thank you for the brilliant presentation you just gave us. Ministers of State present here, our international partners who have traveled from far to join us at this summit, chief executives and champions of the mining industry, our members of the diplomatic corps, our friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. It's my singular honor to welcome you all to Ghana and to this landmark gathering, the Mining in Motion Summit 2025. We're gathered here today not merely to talk about minerals, but to reimagine the future of mining in Africa. And so permit me first to express my heartfelt gratitude to Otumfuo Osei Tutu II for his inspiring vision and leadership in convening this summit. Nana, we thank you very much. Your unwavering commitment to Ghana's development and environmental sustainability is admirable. Let me also thank Oheniba Kwekudua and the Ashanti Green Initiative team for delivering on this vision, and also the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources for its strategic collaboration. Africa is rich in gold, bauxite, lithium, manganese, cobalt, and other rare earth minerals. Our continent is said to hold about 91% of global platinum reserves. We hold about 79% of phosphate rock. Over half of the cobalt and manganese in the world is found in Africa. Vast untapped deposits of lithium and graphite. And yet we remain among the poorest continents globally. Ghana, as the leading gold producer in Africa, reflects both the opportunities and the contradictions in this sector. But I must say, it has not transformed the lives of our citizens as it should. And so we must ask ourselves the hard question: why does the wealth beneath our feet not translate into prosperity above ground? A major reason is our extractive structure. We export raw materials, raw minerals, and we import finished product. But the real value, which is jobs, technology, and revenue, is captured elsewhere. My administration is committed to moving beyond extraction to transformation. And this means that we'll be investing in the downstream industry of the mineral value chain, refining our gold and developing our jewelry industry, processing our bauxite into alumina and aluminum, converting lithium into battery components for export, and using iron ore to feed a steel industry. We must integrate mining into the broader economic framework, linking it to our manufacturing, energy, logistics, and research. That is how we build resilient and diversified economies. In the past, huge concessions were carved out for foreign mining interests. State mining assets were sold to foreign companies because we lacked the capital, the technology, and the human resources to fully exploit the natural resources that nature so bountifully blessed us with. But that situation, huge human resource with expertise in every aspect of the extractive industry. We therefore are exploiting our mineral wealth. We welcome foreign investors to partner with us in our extractive industry. We want a partnership of mutual benefit. And we commend the relationship. We'll soon codify our thoughts concerning increased Ghanaian participation using vehicles like our stock exchange and other instruments. As the world becomes more transactional in relations between countries, it becomes even more critical for us to use our natural resource endowment to create prosperity for our people. Another pillar of reform is inclusive mining. Over 1 million people in Ghana depend on artisanal and small-scale mining for sustenance. However, this sector has often been informal, conflict-prone, and environmentally damaging. We're therefore taking bold steps to formalize the small-scale mining sector through initiatives such as the Cooperative Mining and Skills Development Program, the Ghana Landscape Restoration and Small-Scale Mining. These initiatives aim to provide legal access to land, training, equipment, and shared infrastructure. We also will eliminate the use of mercury and supporting environmentally safe alternatives for mining. Let me be clear at this juncture. Artisanal miners are not enemies of the state. If properly trained and supported, they can be allies in our development. Working together with the small-scale mining sector, we will reclaim our forest reserves and restore the purity of our water bodies. Our river guards are working on clearing mining activities in our water bodies and on the banks of our rivers. We've successfully, as the minister told you, we have successfully cleared illegal miners out of 8 out of the 9 no-go zone forest reserves. We will track excavators, as the minister said, in order to know whether they are being used for illegal mining or not. And we intend to change the permitting regime. Ghana has more excavators in this country than in the whole of Africa. We're going to change the permitting regime. You will not be allowed to import an excavator or put it on a ship unless you get a permit before you can ship an excavator. Mining cannot be sustainable unless it's also responsible. Environmental degradation, water pollution, and community displacement are not inevitable byproducts of mining. They are the consequences of poor governance and enforcement. We're strengthening environmental, social, and governance frameworks across the mining sector, and this will include mandating site rehabilitation. And so it means that small-scale miners and medium-scale mining must also have rehabilitation clauses in their permits to reclaim the land. Enforcing community development agreements and promoting renewable energy use in our mining sector. True policy and regulation will ensure that every ounce of gold or gram of lithium mined in Ghana leaves with a positive green footprint. The world is transitioning. There comes a surge in demand for critical minerals like lithium, graphite, nickel, and other rare earth minerals. Ghana is ready to play a central role. We're establishing policy, legal, and investment frameworks to explore and develop critical mineral reserves, build refining and battery manufacturing capacity, attract ethical long-term investors, promote local content and technology transfer. In this new global order, our mineral wealth is not just a national asset, but a strategic geopolitical resource. The Gold Board, a key plank in my administration strategy to reform the gold mining sector and ensure maximum benefits for Ghanaians from our gold resources, has taken off. In its short existence, it has sanitized the gold sector, ensuring maximum returns from our gold exports. Ghana's gold exports earned the country $2.7 billion. Ghana's gold exports through the PMM set to increase exponentially throughout the year. But the Gold Board is not only about exporting gold. It will soon roll out a track and trace system to ensure that Ghana's gold exports are procured from environmentally sustainable sources. The Gold Board will work to train artisanal and small-scale miners. The board is also soon to launch, in cooperation with the private sector, an ambitious project to reclaim 10,000 hectares of mined-out lands. The Gold Board will also be working towards attaining LBMA certification for Ghana's gold. Excellencies, the future of mining is not national, it is continental. The African Continental Free Trade Area provides us with an unparalleled opportunity to strengthen intra-African investment flows. So let us move from competition to collaboration. Ghana is open to partnerships with Guinea on bauxite, with DRC on cobalt, with South Africa on platinum, and all willing nations on mutual beneficiation. For this to